imagine you are standing on the surface of another world far away in the deep reaches of space. You are looking for something strange and unusual because you expect an alien planet to be full of surprises. You are searching for life that does not follow the rules you know. Now take a breath and realize that you are already standing on that alien world right now. We often think of our home as a familiar and well-mapped place, but we are actually living on a planet that is mostly a mystery to us. We go about our busy days looking at the big things like trees and dogs and other people. We think we see the world because we see the things that are our own size. But there is a secret kingdom existing right beneath our feet and even inside the ice of the coldest places on Earth. This is the edge of our sight and the edge of our understanding. We share our homes and our parks and even the frozen ends of the Earth with billions of creatures that are completely invisible to us. They are living complex and dramatic lives while we walk right past them without a single thought. This is the context of our existence on a planet that is far more whimsical and weird than any science fiction movie could ever dream of. When we look at the surface concept of life, we usually think about what we can see with our naked eyes. We have a mental list of animals and plants that define nature for us. On the surface, we might think that a place like Antarctica is a dead and empty wasteland because it looks white and silent. We see the ice and the snow and we think there is nothing there for us to study. We treat these extreme environments as if they are just blank spots on the map. We have a habit of measuring the importance of life by its size or its beauty. If something is big enough to hug or pretty enough to photograph, we give it our attention. This surface view of the world is very limited. It is like looking at a massive library and only reading the titles of the 5 biggest books. We miss the millions of tiny stories that are happening in every single drop of water and every grain of dirt. We are living in a world of giants where we ignore the real owners of the planet. This leads us to a very deep and hidden assumption that humans are the main characters of the Earth. We assume that the world was built for us and that the life that matters is the life that serves us or entertains us. We carry the hidden belief that if we cannot see something, it must not have an impact on our lives. We assume that the invisible world is just a background or a decoration for the human story. But the truth is quite the opposite. We are the ones who are outnumbered, and we are the ones who depend on the invisible kingdom to keep the world running. We assume that the extreme edges of our world, like the deep sea or the glaciers, are separate from us. We think of them as distant places that do not affect our backyard. This assumption makes us feel safe, but it also makes us ignorant. It stops us from seeing the deep connections that tie a tiny plant living inside a glacier to the air we breathe in a crowded city. We are assuming we have the full picture when we only have a tiny corner of the puzzle. There is a structural pattern to how life organizes itself that we can only see when we look through a microscope. We find that life is not just a few big things but a massive web of billions of small things. For every single human being on this earth, there are 57 billion tiny creatures called nematodes. This is a structural reality that is hard for our brains to even hold. It shows us a pattern of extreme abundance. Life is not rare or struggling, it is exploding in every direction. We see a pattern of amazing survival in creatures like the tardigrade, which can live through heat and cold and even the vacuum of space. These creatures have developed superpowers that allow them to live in places we thought were impossible. We see a pattern of strange and beautiful designs like tiny crowns that turn into mouths or bodies so clear you can see their dinner being digested. This structural pattern tells us that nature loves variety and that it will find a way to exist in the most difficult corners. It is a pattern of persistence and creativity that repeats itself from the bottom of the ocean to the top of the highest mountain. When we recognize this, we can begin to reframe our entire perspective on our home planet. Instead of seeing the Earth as a place we own, we can see it as a crowded neighborhood where we are just one of many guests. We can start to view ourselves not as the masters of nature but as students of a very weird and wonderful school. This reframing changes how we feel when we walk through the world. Every puddle of water becomes a tiny universe full of life. Every patch of moss becomes a jungle for microscopic bears. We can shift our focus from seeking the familiar to seeking the strange. This makes the world feel fresh and new again. It turns our own backyard into an alien landscape waiting to be explored. We do not need a spaceship to find weird life, we just need a better lens. This new perspective fills us with a sense of wonder and humility. It reminds us that we are part of a giant and whimsical family that spans the entire globe. This insight has a very practical application to our daily lives and how we treat our environment. When we realize that the world is full of invisible neighbors, we start to care more about the small things. We begin to understand that protecting nature means more than just saving the big animals like whales or tigers. It means protecting the health of the soil and the purity of the water where the billion tiny creatures live. We can apply this by being more curious in our own lives. We can take a moment to look at a drop of rain or a piece of ice and wonder who might be living inside it. We can teach our children that the world is a place of magic and mystery that is always hidden in plain sight. This daily practice of curiosity helps us stay connected to the earth. It reduces our sense of isolation and reminds us that we are never truly alone. Even in the quietest moments, there are billions of lives pulsing all around us. We can learn to respect the edges of our understanding and be okay with the fact that we do not know everything. This openness allows us to be better neighbors to the creatures we share our world with. As we deepen our reflection, we might think about what else we are missing in our busy lives. If we are missing billions of creatures right in front of us, what other beauty are we overlooking because we are moving too fast? Perhaps we are missing the small acts of kindness from strangers or the subtle changes in the light at sunset. The invisible life in Antarctica is a reminder that the most important things are often the ones that do not scream for our attention. They are the quiet and persistent forces that hold everything together. We can find a sense of peace in knowing that the world is much bigger and more complex than our own problems. We are part of a grand and invisible system that has been working for billions of years. This allows us to let go of our need for control and simply be present in the whimsy of the moment. We can embrace the weirdness of our home and find joy in the fact that we are living on a planet that is still full of secrets. Every new discovery of a tiny creature with a crown or a transparent body is a gift that makes our world feel more alive. We are living in a party of confetti that has exploded over the entire Earth, and we are invited to join the celebration. The more we document and understand the invisible life, the closer we get to the full picture of our home. This is a journey that never ends because the world is infinitely deep and full of surprises. We are just at the beginning of our exploration of this alien planet we call home. If you could shrink down to the size of a tiny water bear for just 1 hour and explore the microscopic jungle in your own garden, what is the first thing you would hope to see?